Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on, well, a pretty epic journey. We're exploring the entire life cycle of stars from their birthplaces and nebulas all the way to their dramatic ends as white dwarfs, neutron stars, or even black holes.
It's a fantastic topic.
Our source material today comes from excerpts of the podcast, From Nebula to Black Hole. And our mission really is to get a handle on this stellar life cycle and maybe, just maybe, see how we fit into this grand cosmic picture. Ready to dive in.
Absolutely. What always gets me is just the sheer scale of it all. I mean, the time scales, the energies involved, they're almost unimaginable compared to anything here on Earth.
Totally mind-bending. Okay, so it all starts in these things called nebulas, right? These huge clouds of gas and dust.
Exactly. Stellar nurseries, basically. Vast, cold clouds floating in space.
So how does a star actually, emerge from just gas and dust? What gets it going?
Well, it's gravity. Always gravity in space, it seems.
Right.
Within these clouds, you get slightly denser regions, and gravity starts pulling that material together. It contracts, clumps up, and as it collapses inward, it starts to heat up. That hot, dense core forming is what we call a protostar. It's like a baby star, not quite switched on yet.
Okay, a protostar. So when does it actually, flip the switch? When does it become a proper shining star?
That happens when the core gets incredibly hot and dense. We're talking around 10 million Kelvin.
Wow.
At that point, the pressure and temperature are so intense that hydrogen atoms start slamming into each other and fusing to form helium. That process, nuclear fusion, releases a tremendous amount of energy.
Ah, so that's the star's power source.
Precisely. That outward pressure from the fusion energy perfectly balances the inward crush of gravity, and boom, you have a stable, shining star. It enters what we call the main sequence phase.
The main sequence that's like the star's adulthood, its long, stable period.
Yeah, that's the longest part of a star's life.
Yeah.
And how long it lasts really depends on one crucial thing: its mass.
Its mass. How does that work?
Well, think of it this way. The really massive stars, they're incredibly bright and hot, but they burn through their hydrogen fuel extremely quickly. So they have, relatively speaking, short lives, maybe millions of years.
Okay, millions is short in cosmic terms.
Right. But the smaller stars, the low-mass ones, they're much more frugal with their fuel. They sip it slowly. They can shine steadily for billions, maybe even trillions of years.
Trillions. It's hard to wrap your head around, but okay, nothing lasts forever. Eventually they run out of fuel, don't they? What happens then?
That's when things get really interesting, and the paths diverge dramatically. When that hydrogen fuel in the core is used up, that balance between gravity and fusion pressure is broken.
And gravity starts winning.
Gravity starts winning. What happens next depends, again, on the star's initial mass.
Okay, let's take the smaller ones first. Like our own sun. What's their fate? A quieter end?
Generally, yes. A low-mass star, like the Sun, when it runs out of hydrogen in its core, it starts fusing hydrogen in a shell around the core. This causes its outer layers to expand massively. It swells up into what's called a red giant. It gets huge. But the outer layers are cooler, hence the red color.
Right.
Eventually, those outer layers just sort of drift off into space. They create these beautiful structures we call planetary nebulas. Bit of a misnomer, nothing to do with planets.
Ah, okay.
And what's left behind is the star's hot, incredibly dense core, a white dwarf. It's basically the ember of the former star, and it will just sit there cooling down very, very slowly over billions and billions of years, eventually becoming a cold, dark black dwarf. Though the universe probably isn't old enough for any black dwarfs to exist yet.
A gentle fade out. But the big stars, the high-mass ones, they don't go quietly, do they?
Not at all. They go out with a bang. A really, really big bang.
Just put up.
Exactly. When a massive star exhausts its fuel, its core collapses catastrophically under its own gravity. This collapse triggers a rebound shock wave, blowing the star's outer layers apart in a titanic explosion, a supernova. For a brief time, a supernova can outshine its entire host galaxy. It's one of the most energetic events in the universe.
Incredible. And what's left after that explosion?
Well, the core survives, crushed into an unbelievably dense state. If the core's mass is above a certain limit, but not too massive, it becomes a neutron star. Imagine the mass of the sun crammed into a sphere, maybe the size of a city. It's incredibly dense material.
Just mind-boggling density. And if the core is even more massive?
And gravity wins completely. Nothing can stop the collapse. The core collapses infinitely, forming a black hole, a region of space-time where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape.
From white dwarfs to neutron stars to black holes, what a range of endings. But you mentioned our connection earlier. How does all this stellar death relate back to, well, us?
Ah, yes. This is, for me, the most profound part of the story. You see, the universe started out with basically just hydrogen and helium.
Right, the Big Bang elements.
Exactly. All the heavier elements, the carbon in your body, the oxygen you breathe, the iron in your blood, the silicon in rocks, all that stuff was forged inside stars.
Through that fusion process.
Through fusion, during their main sequence lives, yes, but crucially also during the final stages, and especially for elements heavier than iron, during those incredibly energetic supernova explosions. Gold, silver, uranium, that stuff is largely made in supernovae.
Wow, so the death of stars is actually creative.
In a very real sense, yes. When these stars die, whether it's the gentle shedding of layers from a low-mass star or the violent blast of a supernova, they scatter these newly created heavier elements out into the cosmos.
Seeding the universe.
Precisely. This stardust mixes with interstellar gas and dust, enriching it. And then new stars and planetary systems form from these enriched clouds. Our own solar system, including the Earth and everything on it, including us, is made from the recycled remnants of previous generations of stars.
So that phrase, "we are made of stardust," it's not just poetic, it's literally true.
It's literal. The atoms that make you up were forged in the hearts of stars that lived and died billions of years ago.
That's quite a thought. Okay, so let's quickly recap. We started with nebulas, gravity forms protostars, fusion ignites them into main sequence stars.
Whose lifespans depend on their mass.
Then they run out of fuel. Low-mass stars become white dwarfs, while high-mass stars explode as supernovae, leaving behind neutron stars or black holes.
And critically, these processes create and disperse the heavier elements needed for planets and life.
Connecting us directly back to the lives and deaths of stars across cosmic history.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? These vast, ancient, incredibly powerful events happening across the universe are fundamentally linked to our own existence.
Yeah.
Right here, right now.
It really does. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the very atoms of our bodies have this incredible cosmic origin story forged inside stars, what other connections are there? What other deep links between us and the wider universe might we not even be aware of yet? Something to think about. Thanks for exploring the cosmos with us today on The Deep Dive.